boardroom in Oak Park. And he said something as only Robert can say. I said I wanted to start an organization for business owners and by business owners. And he asked me, well, what are you going to do in the community for the people that are trying to start business? And I was like, oh no, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are already established. And Robert said something to me. He said, Yvonne, you're kind of out of touch with your own community. And I was like, excuse me? And I had to really think about it. And we sat there that day and we talked. We came up with the concept of the Multicultural Community Project. And not only that, we put together, and it took a lot of work, we put together the first community job fair at Robeson High School in the Inglewood area. And that was 2 years ago today. And also, that day, it was Robert's birthday, and it rained like no tomorrow for an October day. But a lot of people came out, a lot of people made a lot of good contacts, and I wanted to introduce my friend Robert Rentiera today. He has a great book and a great foundation called From the Barrio to the Boardroom, and you have to hear Robert's story.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
For those of you who don't know me, prior to becoming an author, I was the guy that was building all the spin cycle and bubble land laundromats all over Chicagoland for investors. And I walked away from my business after I released the book because I learned that the two greatest days in your life are the day you're born and the day you realize why you're born. And I became an author in 2008. I got a call from Arnie Duncan, who was still here with CBS, and they wanted to teach the book in school, so a curriculum was created for this book here, and I brought the books for all of you that are in the back if you like one. So that curriculum was created, I paid for it, I own it, and I donate it to schools across the country, and now 24 other countries around the world currently. Later that year, I got a call from a group called RFB&D, Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic, and they wanted to teach this book to kids that are visually impaired and have reading disabilities. So in 2008, it went national. In this book, the CD helps 236,000 kids around the United States who are visually impaired and have reading disabilities. The following year, in 2009, kids are telling me they're reading this book to their parents. I said, don't your parents know how to read? They said they don't read English. So he translated the book into Spanish. And then later that year, the churches got a hold of me on the west side, and they said, hey, Robert, we see the kids in the hood with your book, but I can't get them in the church. So we want to teach your book in Bible study. So they created a faith-based curriculum for the book, which I own and I donate to churches around the world now as part of the ministry. So those curriculums are donated to anybody working with youth, especially given the current climate of gangs and violence here in Chicago. After that, I was helping kids in middle schools, high schools, colleges, and higher education, but I wasn't getting to the elementary schools. So I thought, what if we had a tool that can cut the umbilical cord to all the gang recruitment that happens in the elementary schools? So we created a graphic novel called Mi Barrio, or My Hood, and brought that book to life with pictures and words. And that book's being taught to kids 4th grade and up. So now I'm helping kids in 4th grade all the way to people older than we are. So I need to get to the little kids, kindergarten to 3rd grade. So I released a book a few years ago called Little Barrio, which is an activity coloring book. So in the last 8 years, I'm proud to say that we've developed a comprehensive, bilingual, non-generic book series and program that resonates with the youth and promotes student achievement, helps our kids with their critical thinking skills and bridges that educational gap, and teaches our kids that gang banging and violence is not a lifestyle but a death style, and the ultimate weapon is not a loaded gun but an educated mind. So to the late great Nelson Mandela, I'm going to follow his footsteps by saying that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Hallelujah. I'm asking you for your help to put these books here into the hands of as many kids as possible and exchange these books for all the guns, knives, drugs, needles, booze, and even the cigarettes. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have, I always have questions.
I would like to try.